Hello once again YouTube, my name's Chris, this is my channel, I'm Into, and today we are going to be talking about the Roland FP-30 e-piano. Okay, so I've been wanting to learn the piano for such a long time. Oh, you would not believe. So I had a massive look around on the internet and in my local music shops to see what was out there really, and to see what you can get for around £400. The piano I chose was the FP-30 from Roland. Personally, I think the Roland FP-30 is absolutely out of this world. It has all the features that I need personally, and for me really it was about the sound of the piano. And I'm not just going to say that, I'm going to delve into why I think it is the best one for the money. I am not going to compare every piano on the market. That is just something I haven't got time to do. But I will pick out the ones that I thought were good contenders. Now, I myself, I'm not bothered about the way an e-piano looks. I buy it to play, and that's it. It's not a furniture piece. However, have a look at this. The aesthetics are really pleasing to look at also. So aesthetically pleasing, great features and an excellent sound. What more could anybody possibly want? Everybody is different. I do understand that. It might not be the sound that you're after. You might actually be after features instead. You know, somebody might want a feature that's featured on another keyboard and not on the FP-30, and that's absolutely fine. It's each to their own at the end of the day. I just know for the £400 to £500 price range, you're going to find it hard to find something that's better sounding than this. And it's not just the sound that everybody raves on about, it's also the feel of the play, which is very important as well. And I can also say that the features aren't lacking on this either. So let's begin talking about the features of this piano. It is a full-sized 88-key keyboard with escapement and ivory feel also. With an escapement being the mechanism that allows the hammer to clear the string after striking it so that the string can vibrate freely. Why ivory feel? Well, many players loved the feel of ivory, its texture and its porosity. It also absorbed oil from the fingertips and felt cool to the touch. They were also hard-wearing keys, but today's imitation ivory plastic is just as good, or nearly just as good, and it lasts around about the same amount of time, if not longer, because the ivory used to crack. So, yes, this is what they are. It has Roland's own PHA4 graded weight hammer action. The graded action basically means that the keys get easier to push down going up the keyboard, basically. It just makes playing the piano feel more realistic and more like playing a real grand piano. The keys also have 5 levels of touch sensitivity. This aids piano playing expressionism and means if you lightly touch down on the key, it will play a softer sound or quieter sound. And if you push down on the keys harder, then the sound will be louder. I must say, the action of these keys is absolutely superb. The keys are just so responsive, and yet they feel super solid also. And in my opinion, it's miles apart from the competition, and especially in this price range. Right, so what else has it got then? The plastic used throughout the whole of the thing, including the sheet music rest, is ABS plastic, so it's nice and sturdy. It has a max polyphony of 128, which is more than sufficient for most players out there. The polyphony count on any keyboard is basically how many notes or sounds can be played all together at the same time. And this is the same count of polyphony on some of Roland's higher priced models also. The piano has 35 instrument sounds. It has split, dual and duo piano modes. It can play back WAV files and MIDI files also to play along to. And these can be played back through a USB device that you can plug into the back of it. The piano has 30 inbuilt songs. It has a metronome with 8 different rhythms. Instead of playing different chord progressions to change the key of a song, it also has a transpose feature where you can instantly pull down or pull up the key of the song. It also has an internal one-track MIDI recorder. The piano has 2 USB ports, one for your devices and one Type B USB port, similar to the connector you find on a printer, and this is useful for connecting the piano to a computer. The piano has support for a single sustain pedal, or it can also be used with a triple pedal system. It has the ports for that also. You can also change the piano into a furniture piece, and for about £150 you can get a stand and a 3-pedal system all together pretty much for the piano to mount into, and you have an awesome looking machine. However, this piano is first and foremost very portable, and it doesn't take as much space up as a full-sized piano, which is great, but it's also great for the travelling musician, those who want to take it around on gigs with them. The piano features a 22 watts amplifier that powers 2 times 4.75 inch downward facing speakers in the base of it. It has Bluetooth 4.0, which is absolutely fantastic. On the front of the piano, there are 2 headphone ports, one 1/8 of an inch port and a 1/4 inch jack port. When headphones are plugged into one of these ports, the sound is automatically disabled from the speaker system, which is really handy. However, you can actually turn this off, so that the sound is also coming through the speakers as well as the headphones. It has wireless page turning capability, and it comes in either black or white. Now, it's quite a fairly heavy keyboard when you compare it to the others in the price range. However, I don't diss this because, to me, when something's heavier, it denotes quality. And to top it all off, it has Roland's supernatural sound engine, a combination of physically modelled and sampled sound. Sampled sound being actually recorded sound through a microphone from a proper acoustic piano. Now, I've heard that the Roland's supernatural sound engine is sampled from a Steinway piano. Whether or not this is true, I don't know. All I know is that it sounds absolutely fantastic. To help with imitation of the grand piano sound, the sounds on this keyboard also feature string resonance, damper resonance, and key-off resonance as well. This keyboard was only released in 2016 and is basically setting the standard now for all keyboards in this price range for the sound and the feel of the play as well. But, as I always say, please don't take my word for it. Go and have a look yourself. Go and have a look at all the reviews that are out there on the internet. Go and sample all the pianos yourself in this price range, of course, and see what you think. And it's not just the piano sounds that the piano does well at sounding. There are some great other sounds also, including the strings. Now, to me, the strings are the best I have ever heard from any e-piano. Again, this is just my experience in the e-piano world. So, with the split, dual and duo modes, it makes this piano very versatile indeed. With dual mode, or sometimes known as layer mode, it means you can play two sounds simultaneously. So you could maybe have the piano along with the strings playing. With the split mode, you can basically split the piano in two. So on one side you could have the strings to play, and then on the other side you can have the piano to play. And then you have the duo mode, where you can split the piano in two, into two 44-key pianos, with of course the same chromatic scale. This is of course ideal for when student and teacher have to play together, and it's going to make it easier for the teacher to teach and the student to learn. It enables you to record your performance with literally a click of a button, and then you can play it back when you've done. This, for example, is ideal for when you are trying to learn a bit of music and you want to be absolutely sure you are playing it correctly. So being able to play it back to yourself and really scrutinizing your playing is one of the best ways of getting better. The keyboard can connect to the Roland app wirelessly via Bluetooth 4.0. This app is called the Roland Piano Partner 2, and it has many great features. Again, I will come to that in a bit as a separate topic for this video. Even though the piano has no dedicated output port, that doesn't mean that you can't hook it up to external equipment, such as a mixer, for example, or powered speakers. All you need is what's called an insert cable. This cable has basically two jacks that are made up of a tip and a sleeve, and then they go into one separate jack that is a tip ring sleeve. Now, because it's an amplified signal for a pair of headphones, you might have to turn the volume down on the keyboard when you connect it to your external equipment. This is so you don't get a distorted sound. Now, at the time of buying my Roland FP-30, the price of it was £450. It was £30 cheaper than what I could get the Yamaha P125 for, which for me was the main contender to the FP-30. In the same price range is the Kawai ES110, and another great contender in this price bracket. And it was £150 more than the Korg B1, which was the cheapest alternative at the time. I believe the Korg sounded better than Yamaha's P45, which is Yamaha's keyboard in the same price range. As for the P125 from Yamaha, it has some fantastic features, and I love the app as well that you can download to use with it. But to my ears, the sound wasn't as good. It doesn't imitate the sound of the grand piano as well as the FP-30 does. And talking of how these pianos all sound, I am going to seek the best sounding clips for each of the pianos mentioned in this video and then post the links to them clips in the description below. Most of the clips that I find will probably be on YouTube. I will only be seeking HD videos and videos that have recorded the pianos using the correct method. I also preferred, with the FP-30, the fact that it has ivory feel keys and that added escapement also. And even though the Yamaha keyboards have weighted keys, graded weighted keys, they are block weighted, which is really disappointing. Whereas on the Roland FP-30, Each of the keys are individually weighted. Again, this adds that whole new level of realism. Now, I've seen a lot of reviewers point out that one of the things that they don't like about this keyboard is the fact that they have to push a button and then push a key on the keyboard to change a function. I don't personally see a big deal with having to do this. However, what they're forgetting is that the Partner 2 app from Roland that can be used with the keyboard can change most, if not all, of the functions on the keyboard anyway. Now, I'm not going to show you what does what keys you have to push for which function, because you can find all of that in the manual, and I will post a link to the manual for the keyboard in the description below. There are a lot of functions, but it is quite easy to follow and work out which key you need to push with the function button or other buttons to get the desired function. Okay, to turn the keyboard on, all you have to do is push the power button. Yes, it's as simple as that. However, you have to long press it because the button doesn't like a short press. But no dramas. So what comes with a keyboard then? You get the power cable with adapter. You get the Roland DP2 sustain pedal. And it is just a sustain pedal. However, it's fairly nice quality. Its cable length is long, and its base is rubberized to prevent slipping. However, I got the M-Audio SP2 pedal, for the reason being it feels a lot more like using a genuine pedal from an acoustic piano. And I can honestly say that quite a few people are raving on about this sustain pedal. Don't take my word for it. Go and have a look for yourself on Google. Go and read the hundreds and hundreds of reviews out there for it from consumers who have already purchased it. You will be able to find the link for this awesome product in my description below. Also included with your piano is a music stand. Well designed with a wide lip, which is something I like to see. And it is made of ABS plastic. What else do you get inside the box? Well, a manual, of course, and it's pretty decent. It tells you everything pretty much that you need to know. And finally, you get some glue dots included to place on your sheet music stand. These are used for in case you decide to use your devices with the sheet music stand instead, and it basically prevents your device from slipping off. Very handy indeed, and it's good to see that Roland has thought about this. Luckily for us, Roland has also thought about labelling the keys for their function changing ability. These inscribed labels can be found at the back of the keys, situated on the actual casing for the piano. Not every function is labelled, however the main ones that are used the most are labelled, which makes it easier for us so we don't have to keep going back to the manual to consult it for what key does what function. So on the back of the keyboard we have the first port, which is for the 3-pedal system. Then moving across, we have the port for the single sustain pedal. That takes a TS jack. And then here is the power. It has a rated power consumption of 22 watts. And here is where you plug in your USB dongle. And as I said earlier, in this USB port, you can plug in a dongle, flash drive, pen, whatever you want to call it. A flash drive can be plugged in to basically transfer your recordings from your piano onto the flash drive for backup, and also so you can play back MIDI files or WAV files that you have. which can of course be played through the piano and played along to. And of course the last one is the USB to computer port. And last of all, on the back we have a cable tidy for your power cable. I call it a cable tidy, however it is probably designed so that you can wrap your power cord around it, and should anybody trip over it, it's going to pull the piano rather than damage the port for the power. Right, let's now go underneath of the unit. Yes, go underneath. Nobody on the internet that I have seen has actually shown the underside of the keyboard. And people may be wondering why I'd want to show this. However, other people will be thinking, finally, yes. I know that because I was one of those latter people. I wanted to see if it had mounting holes for an X-frame stand, which normally come with mounting brackets and screws. And yes, it does. Also, by showing you underneath, I can also show you where the speakers are and roughly how big the ports are that let the sound out of the case. As we already know, the keyboard has 4.75-inch speakers, and so having wide enough ports to accommodate them I thought was pretty important. And another thing that reviews have been complaining about is the fact that Roland decided to use downward firing speakers. Now the keyboard sounds pretty damn good to me, so it doesn't bother me. The sound might have been improved by having upward facing speakers, however the space would need to be there to accommodate the 4.75-inch speakers, so the actual width of the keyboard would have to be much, much wider if the layout and size was to keep the same, presumably. This is the only set of buttons on the keyboard, and you know what? I love its minimalistic look. I think it's nice, I think it's modernistic. So I'm not going to tell you how to do everything on the keyboard and how to change all the functions. However, to just get started on it, let's do a simple piano change. So you hold down the piano button, marked piano, and whilst holding that down, you can push any of the first 6 keys. Number 1 key, the very first key on the keyboard, is what it's already set at, and it's a type of grand piano. And going along, there are another 2 types of grand piano, a ragtime piano and 2 harpsichords. Now, they are all nice sounding. However, I prefer the third one, so I always set it to the 3rd grand piano sound before I start playing. However, you might like a different sound to me. And it's the same with the E piano button and the button marked other. You hold down the button and you push the keys to change the sound. Pretty straightforward, yes? When you connect your device to the piano using a Bluetooth connection, the function button will light up just like so. And when you disconnect, the light will go off. So how do you connect your piano to your device, such as a pad or a phone? Well, luckily it's pretty easy. All you need to do is make sure the keyboard is turned on. Go into the settings of your device and turn on Bluetooth. Go into the Roland Piano Partner 2 app. Click the little cog in the top right hand corner of the screen. A box will appear. Bluetooth MIDI device, connection and initialize app settings. Right, click on Bluetooth MIDI device, Bluetooth MIDI device. This should open a page up that then shows your piano. Click on the piano to connect, and you're done. Now, if you're having problems, it could be a number of reasons why you are having problems. First of all, though, turn off your piano. and go into your Bluetooth settings and click on forget this device or something similar. I'm not sure what it says on Android devices, as I've only got an iOS device, unfortunately. Once you've done that, make sure the Bluetooth is still on your device, and then go back to your piano and turn it on. Hopefully, it should show up. Now, if it still doesn't show up, the chances are that your firmware is outdated on your piano. So what you'll need to do is visit the Roland website and download the updates for it and follow the instructions to update your piano. And as with all firmware updates for any devices out there, I can't stress enough, please do not turn your piano or your computer off during this update procedure. Unless, of course, the instructions ask you to do so. Now, you may be wondering why it's called a MIDI device in the Partner 2 app. Well, I can tell you why. It's because this keyboard, or piano, whatever you want to call it, is actually a MIDI controller too. And rather than communicating with your device through cabling, it communicates via a wireless Bluetooth connection instead. How awesome! All you need to do is make sure Bluetooth is turned on your device, turn on your keyboard, and then from here, go into the settings of your program or app and enable the connection to your keyboard. If, of course, the program or app supports a MIDI Bluetooth connection. Okay, onto the Partner 2 app then. Right, once connected, the app will come up with a loading bar and it'll say preparing data. And then it will lead you to the main app front. This is where you'll see songs, Digiscore Lite, rhythms, flashcards, remote controller, recorder, and diary. Right, so first of all, let's click on songs. And this will bring up a list of 30 songs, all popular and well-known masterpieces. So we can play the song of our choice here just by pushing the play button. At the top of the list, or the screen should I say, we have various options. So starting from left to right, first of all we have a metronome. We can enable or disable that. It's defaulted at disabled. And then the next one along is accompaniment. So when you play these songs from the list, you can enable or disable the accompaniment if you wish, which is basically like drums or extra instruments in the backing of the music. And then you can disable or enable the left hand or the right hand play, which is pretty cool as well. And the next option along from there with the two arrows is basically loop options, I believe. And to the far top right of the screen is basically your remote controller, where you can change the master tuning, you can change the key touch, super light, medium, heavy, super heavy, change the master volume, the ambience, the brilliance, and of course you can keyboard transpose as well, down or up 6 semitones. Now, while we have this screen that's popped up for the settings, you'll see 3 tabs. The settings tab is already selected, so if we move across to the left and choose the keyboard and tones tab, here we can then set the keyboard into single, split, dual or twin piano modes. And on the right hand side you have your various pianos and other sounds. And of course you can choose one of the 35 sounds from here that are available. And moving over once again to the third and final tab, the metronome, here you have all your metronome settings. So let's come off these tabs by pushing the top part of the screen, the grey part, and you should be back at the song list. Now, if you click play on the song of your choice, Then click on the Digiscore Lite icon, which is at the bottom of the screen, second icon along. Here you have the Digiscore Lite, which basically brings up the sheet music for the song that you're playing, so that you can easily play along to it if you can read sheet music. Right, now let's click the home button, bottom left corner of the screen. So we've been on the Songs tab and we have just visited Digiscore Lite, so we don't need to worry about that tab either. So let's click on Rhythms tab, the tab with the picture of the drum. Here we have the screen for all the preset rhythms. Now it tells you which key you are playing in. You can change the tempo, variation, whether you want it to autofill, whether it has a sync start, etc, etc, etc. Really quite handy if you want an accompaniment to play along to. So let's go back to the home screen again by clicking the home button in the bottom left hand corner again. And now we'll take a look at Roland's flashcards, the next icon along the picture of the cards. As soon as you click on this, it'll come up with a box. Select mode. So you can either play this game via listening to the sounds or reading notations, and you can choose beginner, average or expert. It's a pretty handy little feature when you are learning to play the piano and you're learning about theory. Basically what the game will do is it'll show you a flashcard, and you have to basically push the key that corresponds to that flashcard. If you do in a certain amount of time, then you win some points. If you don't, then you don't get any points. This is going to be absolutely fantastic, especially when you're learning to play from ear, and also when you're learning to recognize on the stave where the notes are. So now we've seen that, click on the home button again in the bottom left hand corner of the screen, and we have the remote controller icon, but we've already seen that one. Now the next tab is the recorder. So if we click on that, you will see some simple options of how you can record your various performances. Right, to go on from here, we're not going to bother going to the home tab as we normally do, just to show you the shortcuts are also at the bottom for these tabs as well. So let's click on the final icon at the bottom of the screen, and that will take you to the diary. Now this diary is absolutely brilliant. It's a brilliant feature, especially when you are learning. It automatically records how much you have played in that day on the calendar. It also tells you the keys that you've used and how hard you have played. Also, it automatically records any phrases that it thinks you have played. And so that's it for the Partner 2 app. I think it's pretty damn neat if you ask me. And yes, I will be using it a lot myself. And of course, the best thing of all is that it's completely free on iOS and Android. Well, I think I've kind of wrapped it up now on the FP-30, and I've shown you basically what I think is the best piano for the money out there. Just because I rave on about the FP-30, it doesn't mean necessarily that you're going to think the same. I totally get it. Thank you very much indeed for viewing this video. I hope it's been of some use to you. If you want to subscribe to my channel, please feel free to click that button below and go on, give us a like if you want as well. Keep me happy. My name's Chris. This is I'm Into. From me, goodbye to you all.